I am not just one, Pauline Ostermann. There are many of us. There are many pieces that create me. Let me tell you my story. No, let me tell you our story. I have been living in China for about 3 months now, and I thought that I was the tourist looking at all the attractions. But it turns out I am the tourist attraction. And I understand why this happens. Not everyone is like me, not everyone looks like me, not everyone sounds like me. I guess we can all agree that there are many differences between each of us. Let me give you a funny example. On the Chinese New Year holiday, my family and I went to visit the Great Wall of China, where there were a lot of other people as well. Now, I'm sure we all know that the Great Wall of China is one of the remaining wonders of the world, and we all go there to be in awe of its great scope. I soon realized that the people were more interested in my family than the Great Wall, and we got stopped several times by the local people and asked if we were okay taking some selfies together. This happens to many places we go. People will stop to look at us and take pictures because for them, we are the tourist attraction. And I get it, we look different, but that actually doesn't bother me. My school here is very welcoming towards new students, especially because most students also travel the world and know what it is like being the new kid in a new place. So that one person I call Pauline has a few pieces made up from her Chinese experience. These give her determination to adapt to unfamiliar places, diligence to do well in school, and sophistication in the way I present myself to the world. Let me continue with my story in a reverse chronological order and walk you through my other life experiences that have added their mark to who I am today. Before moving to China, I lived in Tuscaloosa, a place in Alabama, somewhere in the southern part of the USA. There I went to private school, where the kids that weren't American or did not look exactly like what one thought an American looked like had a tougher time being accepted by the community. I was one of the few international students in that school, so I did not have many other kids to immediately bond and associate with. As Tuscaloosa was also a slow-paced city, and there was nothing really much to do, I never got the opportunities to meet other foreign teenagers who were studying there as well. Life was pretty lonely at first. Fortunately, that did not last. After about a year of living in Alabama, I met Quali, a fellow classmate who immediately tuned into my frequency, and I tuned into hers. I do not think she realizes how much it meant to me to have just one person who was there for me. Quali is Norwegian and did not have many friends either. Quali and I are still in contact, and she made my experience in America a lot better, and I will never forget her for that. So the pieces that Pauline from America is carrying with her now is her courage towards meeting new people and fortitude towards trying new things. I also lived in South Africa for about 2.5 years, and those years were the best of my life. Even though I went to a local school where me and my siblings were the only foreigners, everybody still welcomed and befriended us like any other. I had many close friends in South Africa, and our families would often go on vacation together. The school there had a very well-structured system that I liked a lot, and everybody was friendly towards my family. One part of me will always be left behind in Africa, where I feel I truly belong. In Africa, your friend's family is also your family, and I never ever felt alone because I always had so many great people around me. Whenever I went to visit my old friend Holly, her mom, whom I would call Auntie Debbie, would always ask me how my day was, and we would all discuss things together that were on our minds. Once, I had a sleepover at Holly's house, and at nights, I was missing my family from Germany, so I started crying. Auntie Debbie heard me and came into the room to hug and comfort me until I fell back to sleep. That person, Pauline, has many pieces made up from her South African experience. These include open-mindedness in unfamiliar situations, being compassionate, and putting others before herself. Okay, so now you know that Pauline Ostermann has something in her that comes from her Chinese experience, something from her American experience, and a lot more from her South African experience. It is all these little but important experiences that have shaped who Pauline is today. Let us recap. China brought determination, diligence, and sophistication. The United States gave me courage and fortitude, and South Africa made me open-minded and compassionate. And that brings me to the place of my birth. I was born in Germany, in a little city southwest called Stuttgart. I lived there for the first 5.5 years of my life and was remarkably close to my family, both geographically and emotionally. I even visited my grandparents every weekend. Both of my parents worked, so me and my siblings would have nannies that would bring us to school and sometimes pick us up. My favorite nanny was Nina. Nina was born in Nigeria and spoke both English and German. Nina was always in a good mood and sang English songs that as a child I enjoyed listening to. Nina had a big influence on my social and emotional development, and her kind words and lively songs have followed me throughout the world ever since. My family is still in contact with Nina. We flew to her wedding in Las Vegas, and I'm even going to be the godmother of her child. As you can tell, Nina was, and still is, an important part of my life. It goes without saying that many of the values that I saw in Nina are now part of me. What I saw as a child and simply copied as good behavior is now what I understand I can be like as a young lady ready to face the world. The parts that Pauline from Germany is carrying with her now are her altruism in her interactions with others, sympathy for everyone's singular humanity, and valiantness towards a future she has not lived yet. When I was younger, I thought you were just naturally born with certain personal characteristics, and that you could not choose which ones you wanted to have. But now that I have lived my childhood and am starting to live my youth, I arrived at the understanding that the world and people we interact with shape who we can and cannot become. I have been to so many separate places. I have met quite a few people both my age and older than me, and in the process, I learned tons about different people, different cultures, and different human relationships. But most importantly, I learned a few things about my own people, my own cultures, and my own relationships. From each interaction, from each conversation, from each new dish tasted, I add a few more bits into my personal characteristics. But you see, I get to choose all the little things that make me, me. Not all my life experiences were or will ever be 100% good, but I get to decide which ones are worthy of becoming a part of me. If I want to, I can even turn a bad experience into a future good characteristic. I choose to be kind and caring. I choose to be diligent and compassionate. I choose to be open-minded and altruistic. Why? Because of all these little things that make me into the Pauline I am today, the Pauline I will be tomorrow, and the best Pauline that I can become. You can choose too. We can all choose, and we have the choice to make good choices.